Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
We are here post-turkey.
Lots of food, lots of good laughs.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we did a podcast, so we're wondering how we do it.
Yeah.
How to do the podcast. Well, we don't know.
No.
Isaiah was looking up icebreaker questions, but I didn't like them because the first one was, how do you relax after a tough day? And I feel like that focuses on a negative thing. And I don't like to relive negative experiences in life. I mean, you can work through them. That's fine. But I don't like to like rehash it and then you get all upset about a thing you were previously upset about. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So how about like, how do you wind down after a great day?
That's it. That's a good way to frame it. I don't
Or
think
do you
anybody's
wind
ever
down?
really asked that.
Because I feel like there's two different types of people. People who like get home from their day or their life or whatever, and they need like decompression time. And then there's other people who are like, no, I don't need that. I'm just going straight into my bed.
Well,
I used to not be a decompression person. I could like just get home from whatever I was doing and just get ready and go straight to bed. But now I feel like I need decompression time.
I wonder if that comes with age. Because
Maybe.
I feel like I was kind of the same way. I didn't really need to like decompress. I would just do whatever I was doing right up until I decided I was too tired to go to bed. Or I'm too tired and I needed to go to bed. And so I just crash. But then I'm up again 4 o'clock the next morning.
What is something that you thought was weird that somebody else did and now you do it? Put you on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit difficult because I don't think that I do anything weird. So I got to be really self-critical and, charitable.
You don't think you do anything weird?
Well, you don't think like if you're observing yourself, you do.
No, this is something that someone else did that you're like, that's weird.
But now
you
I do it. But it wouldn't be weird now since I do it. But
do you understand the question?
I think so.
I'll give you an example. I used to be a sheets tucked into the bed to the nines, like nice bed with the sheets tucked all the way under, like I was a burrito. I was the meat of a burrito when I went to bed. And then someone entered my life and this person did not tuck the sheets in when they slept. It was just like free ball in the sheets on the bed. It's like your little toesies could come out, pop out of the bottom, just kind of nice for a little breeze. I was like, you are a psychopath. Now, if the sheets are tucked in, I won't have any of it. I have to have a little loosey goosey in my sheets. I do still like a little tuck, but I like it to be not so tight. So if I want some air for my feet, I can untuck it. I like a little bit of structure, but I like my toes to be able to pop out the bottom.
I think it depends on what climate you're in. If I'm in a hot weather climate, I like it more like airy like that. But if I'm like in a cold weather place, like tuck that sucker in. I want that thing to be so tight.
Nope. Okay, so that was my example.
That was a good icebreaker. I don't know why you think
you don't have anything like that.
Oh, I'm trying to think. Like things that I do that are weird.
No, things that
somebody else did that was weird that I now do. I mean,
or like brushing your teeth in the shower. Like when I was a kid, we never did that. That wasn't a thing. And then somewhere along the way, someone mentioned brushing their teeth in the shower. And I was like, that's weird. And then I was like, actually, it feels efficient.
Yeah. No, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
I think maybe the closest thing that I could get to something like that would be I had it and I just lost it. Yeah, I don't know. Oh no, listening to podcasts. I used to think that it was like super weird that people listen to talk radio and podcasts. I really did. I was like, because I kind of remember when podcasts first started coming out, and I was like, dude, that's so lame. You're just gonna sit and listen to some people talk. What
That's
are
what
you
I
guys
thought
even
about
talking about?
Twitter. When Twitter came out, I was like, no one cares about 140 characters. Like, where's the picture? You can't even say anything in 140 characters. And then Twitter just blew up. And I have some great tweets from about 10 years ago. Twitter was like where I went to vent when I was single. Or like when I would say things that I thought were witty. I would put them into the void that was Twitter.
Yeah, your Twitter is pretty fun. I didn't do that. I don't think I've ever really put my thoughts out anywhere. Just to people in general. Just like one-on-one to person. I just didn't really get in. It took me a long time to get into podcasts. I thought they were super weird for a long time.
I feel like I've been on the podcast train for a long time.
Yeah, I think you were on it before I was.
I actually listened when I was in high school, which was like, I graduated in 2010, so it's been a minute. But there were some people that I knew that went to a different high school, and they did a podcast. And this was like 2008, 7 or 8. They did a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like a couple of guys in their room, like talking to each other. And the audio was horrible, but it was so interesting. Just like, it was new. It was a thing. And they were just talking about like dumb high school stuff, but it was fascinating to me. I just like I like listening to other people who are interested in whatever they're interested in.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's definitely something interesting about the way that podcasts have developed. And I had two thoughts about this earlier. I think it's really interesting that podcasts have kind of become like big enough now. There's kind of like a template of like how to do it, like any other business that's been around for a while, because, the original podcast people that, have already been out there and are established, like they kind of had to be the pioneers and figure it out and saw what worked and how to do it. But like now you can kind of like look at, you have a lot of people to kind of model what you're doing after other people. So there's like already a template there for you to follow.
Yeah. I mean, I think podcast is just like, it's pretty straightforward now where it's just like people talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some that are like 5 health tips that you should know today.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think people are into that stuff anymore.
Yeah. That's fair.
I don't know. Maybe they are.
I was also thinking about it'll be interesting to see how media is going to change over the next couple of years, because, in the past, like you have like the Fox News channel and you just get like multiple different people on there. But like now we have like the Joe Rogan Experience, so like who's going to do the Joe Rogan Experience when Joe Rogan's gone eventually? Will his podcast just like die out and then like be there for, posterity? Or
Well, I mean, I think it depends on who you are. But for Joe Rogan specifically, I think it would just end with him because like his podcast is just him talking to people that he likes. It's not like a brand.
yeah.
Or like a company that he's building. Whereas other podcasts, like if the main person dies, you might plot somebody else in there. But I don't know if
That's fair.
I think people like podcasts because of whoever they're listening to. They like the way that they communicate or what they talk about or whatever. I don't think you can just slot someone in. It's kind of like how you can like the host of a podcast and then they bring on a guest and you're like, you don't listen to it or you just listen to a little bit of it because you don't jive with the guest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. I think you can like have spin-off podcasts, but I think they're just, it's like a person. Like you're not gonna, I feel like a podcast is just like a person putting out their thoughts. So you can't like put somebody else in and then have it be the same.
It's like live Twitter.
Except you can talk for as long as you want. I think actually now there's not, I don't know what the limit on X is. I very rarely get on X.
Yeah, I don't. I only get on there when there's something crazy going on and nobody else will show it to me anywhere else.
Yeah, if you're looking for something specific that the internet wants to censor, then I'll look on X. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like every time I get on, it's just X showing me Elon's tweets. What are they now? Xers?
No, I think most people still call them tweets. I think even Elon calls them tweets still.
Seems weird. I feel like he didn't think that one through. With like what the Twitter had tweets, X has, and nobody knows what to call them.
Posts.
Yeah, that's boring.
Yeah. Well, it's not the best branding, but it's...
I mean, he likes that X thing.
Yeah.
Do you think he likes X-Men?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that where that is? He an X-Men?
That's possible. I think they probably, had him on in the last...
I think he's an alien. So he's like got this whole thing like I'm going to go to Mars, but really he's just going to go home.
He does kind of have a weird fascination with that. And it's really hard to tell like whether or not he's a good guy or a bad guy, or is having like a positive impact on things or a negative impact on things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dig too deep into that stuff, but at face value, he seems like he's trying his best.
Yeah.
I mean, he bought X for free speech. I feel like that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, it's not nothing for $44 billion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but he seems like he's probably mostly good. But again, I know very limited things about Mr. Musk. He's not in my inner circle, so.
Not yet.
Yeah, I think that he might not make it in.
Yeah, I think you guys run in different packs. Yeah, I don't know how to get over to our topic.
What's our topic?
Bless you. Our topic is how we met.
How did you meet me?
How did you get to Hawaii?
How did you meet me?
Well, I hurt my back big wave surfing, and I decided I needed to go get some adjustments at a chiropractic office, and the closest one that I could find was the center.
Oh, can't give away details.
The closest one was the one on the east side of the island.
You don't have to specify where the location was.
Okay. No, so I ended up coming to this chiropractic office, and you were the receptionist there. And you...
We're bored.
Yeah, you were very bored. Wanted to talk to this guy. Now I thought you were pretty cool, and I wanted to sell you some pictures, but you were not taking the bait. You didn't buy a single picture from me.
Yet I have them on my wall.
Yeah, you scored.
I scored.
Well, I think we both scored. But no, and then like you would not leave me alone for like a couple of weeks. Kept texting me and asking if we're doing something.
This is an interesting rendition.
This is how I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 2 weeks.
We can look at the phone logs.
But yeah, you're...
See who initiated the phone calls and the texts.
Oh, I definitely called you.
And the follow-up texts when texts were not responded to.
Yeah, but like I wasn't like expressing like interest in you at that juncture.
Mm-hmm.
You were expressing interest in me though. I mean, since you have the text and you have all the answered phone calls. But yeah.
I was expressing interest, yes. But I was like, what? Just confused. Why are you talking to me?
You got to play the long game.
Okay, I'll lay out how this went. I worked at a wellness center as the front desk receptionist because I moved to Hawaii about 3 weeks before the whole world shut down because of COVID. So I effectively quit my job, sold everything I owned, moved halfway across the globe, and then 3 weeks later was like quarantine. We were all quarantined. So I did not have a job, which was my plan. I was planning to go to Hawaii and just hang out for a couple months, live the island life, and then get a job because the unemployment rate at that time was like 2%. So I was not worried about it. And then COVID happened. So I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'll do my 2 months and then see what's going on. And then 2 months turned to 3 and 4. And then like at 5 months, I was like, okay, this obviously isn't going anywhere. I should probably get a job where I can meet people, because it was just hard to meet people in COVID time because there's all these people that you don't know, and you don't know what's going on in the world and how people are reacting to it. And if you just met someone, like, do you want to hang out at your house? Like, is it going to be weird? Whatever. There was nowhere in public that you could really go except literally into the water. So that was kind of weird. So I got a job at this wellness center in this small little beach town that I lived in because I knew that like everyone went here, and so that I would meet people. And I did, like, meet the whole town. It was great. And my mom came to visit me, and we went to the Big Island, and I was just for a trip, and I was in the market. Like, I went to an art gallery looking for a wave photo to put on my wall. I went to, I forget his name, Phil something or other. He like does waves and turtles and stuff. I went to his gallery and like chatted with him, but I didn't buy anything. And then 2 days later when I was back, I was working, and Isaiah walked in and just was like, I'm here for my appointment. And I was like, do you have a name? Like, most people walk in and say, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. I have a 9 o'clock appointment. Isaiah was just like, I'm here. So then the way that he did that, I was like, have I met him before? Because, there's a lot of the same people that come in, and I do know most of the people that would come through, and I was very familiar with faces. So I was like, do I know this guy? And I just forgot. So I looked into his file to see, like, has he been in before? Have we chatted? And he'd been in like 2 times prior to this, but I was on the Big Island with my mom. So I was not there. So I was like, I do not know this guy. But then I noticed in his profile that we had a hometown connection. So I asked him about it, and he gave me a 1-word response.
Yep.
And then I was like caught off guard, because most times in conversation, when person A asks a question, then usually person B will respond with an answer and either a follow-up story or also another question. And that did not happen. So then I had to keep asking questions. And also the doctor that he was seeing was running like 20 minutes behind. So I was on the distract mission, so you don't notice that you're like 20 minutes behind schedule. So he would like come up to the counter and talk to me, and then when someone else needed me to do something, then he would like go sit down, and then when that person left, he'd like come back up to the counter. And then this happened multiple times. And yeah, I brought up that he did wave photography, and I was like, I'm in the market for that. And then it was weird because he was like not hitting on me, but wouldn't stop talking to me. And then very casually like mentioned something about getting coffee together, but it wasn't like we should get coffee together sometime. It was just like the most casual thing where I was like, is this guy hitting on me, or like, does he have a girlfriend? I had no idea. And then you mentioned that you were going to go surfing over the weekend. Some big waves. And I think you got my Instagram.
Yes.
With your photography page. And then whatever, he leaves the office, and then 2 days go by and I hear nothing. And so then I was like, well, that was so weird. And like, maybe he just has a girlfriend, but like, we had a nice interaction, whatever. And so I messaged him and was just like, hope you have fun surfing. whatever, nice to meet you. And I literally thought as I was sending that, I was like, either this will go nowhere because this guy has a girlfriend, so he was just like chatting with me, whatever, or I'll marry him and then we'll laugh about this later. They literally thought that. And then you did respond very immediately. And then somewhere in there, I guess we got each other's number. But then it was literally 2 weeks of us texting and you calling me and then saying things like, oh, I just got tacos with my friends. Like, you should have come. And I was like, what kind of idiot is this? Like, you didn't invite me. How could I come if you don't invite me? And then I thought he was a jerk because in your texting you were, I think, trying to be playful. But I was like, this guy's just a jerk. And then you said something like, oh, don't be so salty. Leave that for the mermaids or something. Because like I didn't respond to one of your texts. And I thought that was pretty funny. But then honestly, I was just confused because like you would not stop talking to me, texting me, calling me, phone calls for hours, but you never like invited me to do anything. So I was just annoyed. I was like, okay, we need to hang out so I can see if I actually am interested.
Well, you're interested enough to talk to me on the phone.
Yeah, but I was also like, you might be fun to talk to on the phone, but if I see you again, because I'd only seen you the one time when we were wearing masks because this was in COVID time. So I was like, he might be ugly. I don't know what his teeth look like. Actually, I'd seen your license, so I did know that you had a mustache. At least in that picture. But like I didn't even know in real life because it was under your mask. Anyway, so he told me again about how he was going surfing with his friends. And I said, great, I'll come. And then I was just going to meet you somewhere. But then the parking was weird. So then you're like, well, do you just want me to pick you up? And I was like, great, I have your driver's license. I'll just send that to my friends. And yeah, you had told me, oh, that's what it was. You had asked me like why I didn't, because this is around Valentine's Day. You asked me if I had a Valentine's Day and I said no. And I asked you if you did and you said, no, I'm chasing waves, not girls.
It's pretty smooth.
So I was like, okay, great. This guy's a surfer. I'm going to go watch him surf because maybe he has some hot surfer friends that I can meet up with. So I invited myself to go surfing with you. And then I invited one of my friends and I was like, meet me up on the North Shore at whatever time. And
She didn't show up though, did she?
no, because you picked me up at like 3:45 in the morning and I told her to meet us up there at like 10 or 11. So by the time she was, because that's a normal time to like get up and drive an hour. So by the time she was like going to come, we were already done for the day.
Yeah, you gotta.
Because it was Emily.
Start before the wind picks up. Get the waves in the morning when they're best. People aren't up, so they're not crowded.
Well, so then Isaiah says, okay, I'll pick you up tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the morning. I think it was 4 o'clock. And so I woke up much earlier to like make sure I had enough time to actually be awake because I'm not a morning person. Be awake, do all the things, like have coffee, get ready. And then you texted me early, like 3:30 or something. Are you awake? And I was like, yeah. And you're like, great, because I'm like on my way. I was like, what?
I was a little excited.
Yeah, so then I was way behind. And then you got to my house and texted me that you were there because, again, it was the crack of dawn. Not even the crack of dawn, before the crack of dawn. And I texted you, and I meant to say 1 sec, but I mistyped. And I texted you 1 sex. And then I was like, dang it. Now I got to take like 5 seconds to correct that.
Coming on strong on the first time hanging out.
Yeah. And then I came downstairs and you were just chilling outside of my house in a 1990 98 orange Jeep.
Yeah, it's a 98 Jeep Wrangler.
And I was like, this is Hawaii life if I've ever seen it. So then we drive up to your friend's house and we get there and then you call him and he's still sleeping because we were 45 minutes early to what time your friend thought we were going to be at his house. So then he's all annoyed and like lets us in. And then we just sit in his kitchen while he like makes himself breakfast because he's like, what the F are you guys doing here? 45 minutes early. Like I just literally am still sleeping. And I was like, are you kidding me? I could have had more time to get ready. And then we drove up separately to the North Shore and you were going to surf and take pictures. And then you decided I'll need to take pictures and not to surf because you fell in love with me. And you said, I can't leave her with my friend because he might snatch her up if I go out into the water.
That is what I said because he was hitting on you.
Well, and I knew because you were like playing so cool. And I even told one of my friends beforehand, like, this is not a date. This guy doesn't want to date. But I'm thinking maybe he's got some good friends that I can go after. But then at one point, the three of us were hanging out and like you shoved me or something. And your friend was like, ooh, the lovebirds. And so then I was like, oh, okay, now I know that you've told this guy about me, which means to you, you're hoping that I'm more than a friend. So I was on to you pretty quick.
But you're a real big time investigator.
Yep. So then we hung out on the beach and I did a silly thing and I wore a swimsuit, obviously, because that's what you do in Hawaii. And then since it was 3 o'clock in the morning when I was getting ready, I just put a sweatshirt on over that. And then when we were walking on the beach in the morning and the sun came up, it started to get hot. And I was like, come on, I forgot to wear a shirt. And like, yeah, it's Hawaii, but still, this is like the first time I'm hanging out with this guy. But eventually I was just like dying. Like I was so hot that I had to take my sweatshirt off and then just be in my swimsuit. And I think that was the second time you fell in love with me.
Well, that is when I decided I was like, I'm going to get this girl. I'm going to get her to marry me. But
Wow.
it was cool. We had like 6 hours of talking before that. So it was about more than just how pretty you are.
And then, yeah, so then we got done with taking photos. I mean, like of the waves and stuff. So it was like 11 o'clock. And you wanted to take me to your favorite burger joint. So we drove there. But then it was closed. And we're in this open air Jeep. And at one point I like, turned around for some reason. And you jokingly like shoved me out. Like you were going to shove me out of the Jeep. And I was like, why did you do that?
I can't remember why I did that.
You think you just thought you were funny. But then I was into it. So then we drove back to by where I lived. And we had lunch. And this was also happened to be Valentine's Day. And I did not have other Valentine's plans. And then I remember being at lunch, like wanting to hang out with you again, but I wasn't going to push it. And you were like, so what are you doing later? And I was like, nothing, I'm free. I am so free if you want to hang out. And you were like, oh, I got some editing to do. I have a few things to work on, but like maybe I'll be free later. And I was like, that's fine. I am free if you're available. I'm free. I don't have anything going on. And you're like, oh yeah, we'll see. I just go home and figure out what I'm up to. Okay. So then you took me back home. And then I went for a hike, which was like 7 miles round trip from my house. And just honestly to like distract myself. Because I wanted to hang out again. But you were so like playing it cool. And I was just like, I'm available. I have no plans. I have an empty house. And then on the hike, you texted me. You're like, you want to do a movie night? I was like, yeah, I can be ready in 20 minutes. And when I texted you that, I was on a mountain. Like,
why'd you say 20 minutes then?
A solid like 3 miles from my home. Because I was excited. And I was like, if he says yes, like I can just run home, take a shower real quick. It's fine. There is no way on planet Earth that I would have that I would have gotten home, showered, and been like ready to see you again in 20 minutes. No chance. But I was just excited, so that's what I said. And then thankfully, you were the most unprompt you've ever been in your whole life. Because it was like 4 hours later before he finally showed up.
I went surfing again.
He was trying so hard to play it cool.
I was. I mean.
And the whole time I was like, I'm single. I'm available. I will hang out. Do you want to hang out?
Yeah, but you can't.
You
Okay,
can't.
first of all, you're older than me.
Yes, that means I'm wiser.
Exactly. So I had to give the perception that I was the coolest person you'd ever met. And I needed you to need me before I could give into that and be like, oh, yeah, I could date you.
It was honestly just confusing.
Sure, it was confusing, but it worked.
No, and it's ironic that that's your perception because then...
You can't be too available. If you're too available, they're going to be like, oh, well, this guy's got nothing else going on in his life, and he's not that interesting. He's not that attractive.
We have a pretty, what would you call our setup? Low-key, lean, skinny operation here. So we have like every 30 minutes we have to stop the camera, start it again.
Yeah, we're still working out the kinks, learning how all this stuff works together. But
so what I was saying is I think it's funny that that's your perception, that you had to play It's So Cool and be so elusive, because then what got me to actually date you was when you said, we were driving in your Jeep and you said to me, I want to date you and my intention is to marry you. I want to be very clear about what my intentions are. And I was so over all of these guys like trying to be cool and like be confusing and mysterious. I'm like, I just want communication. I don't like, if you're into it, then let's do it. And if you're not, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to marry everyone. I'm going to marry one person. So like, if you're not into dating me, that's totally fine. But like, let's stop hanging out and whatever we're doing. Like, if you don't see a future, because I had that with at least a couple of guys, but one very distinctly before you, who like, we'd hang out all the time and we'd do all this stuff. Like, we'd go hiking and we'd go to different parts of the island and stuff. But it was like, he kind of liked me, but we hung out all the time. And then finally I was just like, do you want to date or not? Because it's fine either way, but I just need to know, because it's whatever we're doing is kind of confusing and weird. And if we're just going to be friends, that's great. Like, I'm so on board with that. But then if you're like acting like you want to date me, but you really just want to be friends, but you think like that's the way to keep hanging out, that's confusing. So I was just like so over that.
You're just ready to settle down.
I just wanted someone to communicate. Like, honestly, that's all it is. And so then when you finally did that, I was like, okay, that's what I like.
Yeah, but then 3 weeks later I asked you to marry me. I was pretty clear about that, and you said nope.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is like, I think it's funny that the way you started was being all elusive and confusing. And that almost had me like, okay, this is not worth my time.
Well, I mean, I was actually trying something different with you than what I tried in previous relationships. So.
What, the being acting too cool for school, or the being clear in your communication?
No, the acting too cool for school thing. That was kind of a new thing.
Yeah. I don't think that would have worked long term.
But I didn't have to do it long term. I had a short, clear plan. I executed.
You did not have any plan.
Executed. I had all the plans. I executed on that, solidified it, and now we have a baby. So I think I was successful in my mission. But I am curious, what was your opinion when you found out that I was in the Marine Corps? And like, what was your opinion of like military guys and that kind of thing? Because I remember you told me that being a military wife was not something you had planned on doing.
Yeah, no. I mean, most of the island of Oahu is military. There's a very, very large military presence. So, I mean, like 95% of the guys that I met when I was single were military or former military. There's only one that I can think of off the cuff right now that was not military, that just like moved there like I did just because he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I think there actually is more like in the Waikiki downtown touristy area, like people who go there and become servers. But we didn't really hang out there. Plus, that was COVID, so there wasn't a lot of that. So finding out that you were military was not shocking. I mean, you can kind of...
Yeah, the haircut will give it away.
Yeah, you can pretty much go to the beach and like pick out who's military and who's not. So that was fine. But I hung out with mostly officers, and you were on the enlisted side. Well, I shouldn't say most. Yeah, I guess it was mostly officers. No, there's only like one guy that I can think of that was on the enlisted side, and he was a psychopath. He's like still in my phone with a bunch of like caution signs. So if you ever
that guy.
Yeah. I don't know why he was here. I don't know. But so anyway, so I hung out with officers mostly, and in the military world, and unbeknownst to me, there's like the officer side and the enlisted side, and they do not compute. And so you are an enlisted boy. So there was some stereotypes around that. But I don't know, like we hung out and I just judged you based on you, the person that you were, not like your military rank. But yeah, I had no interest in being a career military spouse. Because, and obviously there's so much military presence there that the likelihood of me while I was there ending up with a military guy was very high. And I think that maybe if you are a career officer spouse, like that's a very different lifestyle than the career enlisted spouse. Now this is a lot of stereotyping and generalizing, but this was just my experience. But yeah, on a overall either side, the divorce rate in the military is like 95%.
Yeah.
It's just like insanely high. And I think that's for both sides, like officers and enlisted.
Mm-hmm.
So based on that fact alone, really, I'm not interested in a military marriage.
Yeah.
And I told you that from the get-go. I was like, if you're planning on being career, like it's just I'm not your girl. And I actually did mean that, because not that like I wouldn't love you if you were still in or in for a full career, because I like know plenty of people that have beautiful marriages and long military careers. And obviously that's really good, but just for me personally, I was like, I have been in relationships where like you want to think you're the exception. This would never happen. Like my partner would never do that. And then you're just not the exception. That's been my experience. So with that statistic, I was just like, I don't want to play those odds.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started dating, you had what, 3 years left in your...
I had 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 years left.
3. I guess 3.
In your contract, which like that was fine. But if you were like, yeah, I'm going to be a lifer, then that just wouldn't have been like, that's just not the life that I wanted to live.
Mm-hmm.
And so thankfully you were not a lifer.
Well, I wasn't planning on being a lifer. I wasn't even planning on doing a second enlistment. But
Well, I'm glad you did.
yeah, I'm glad I did too. But now, I mean, I am glad that I got out, and you know, we are where we are now.
There's also a lot, like being a military spouse, there's a lot that goes along with that. Like you're constantly moving. You're never settled anywhere. You're like your life is almost 100% out of your control, which like obviously it is not 100%. But in the military, you just have no idea. Like it's people at the government offices that control like when you guys get to be together, where you live, whatever, how often you are just deployed or gone. And I am not the kind of person that like wants to be away from my spouse for 6 months straight.
Yeah.
So that just, I wouldn't have been a good long distance wife.
Well, the other thing that that I was thinking about was, you know how you were talking the other day. Excuse me. You know how you were talking the other day about the like missing people in passing. I almost missed you now that I think about it, because I tried really hard to go to Australia on that deployment, and if I would have gone, I would have left like through 2 or 3 weeks after meeting you. That wouldn't have worked out.
Yep.
Because that was almost 9 months.
Yeah.
I mean, my roommate came home early, and then everybody else came back, you know, like 3 or 4 months later. So there's no way that would have worked out.
Yeah, if I knew you were deploying in 3 weeks, I would have been like, no, it's not worth my effort. Because I have done long distance from the get-go with someone, and it just takes a lifetime to get to know them. And that wasn't even that long distance. I was like 2 hours away, so we still could see each other. We just had to plan. But it just took forever to like get to know them. Whereas if you're just nearby and you can have a date at the drop of a hat, then you can get to know people much more quickly. Yeah, actually, another instance that's really interesting between us is on New Year's Eve, like a month and a half before we met each other. I had this camera that had this like zoom, like literally private investigators. It's not an expensive camera. It's like a camcorder. But like private investigators use this camcorder because the zoom is insane. And so I took this, my family was visiting, and we went to Waimea Bay, where Isaiah likes to surf. But I didn't know him. So this is before we met. My family was visiting. We went up on New Year's Eve, or maybe it was New Year's Day, I don't remember. And I took my camera and I was filming the surfers in the water. And just like randomly, whoever was there. And then we met a little while later and realized that you actually were there surfing on that very same day, but just like a few hours earlier.
Because I'm an early riser.
And I am not. So I thought, how insane would that have been if I had footage of you before we met? It's crazy.
Dude, that's the kind of world that we live in these days, just with all the cameras. And I've thought about that before, like all the like footage that I have of like other people surfing, and like sometimes like I don't even know them or know who they are, but like there's always somebody watching.
Yeah, actually that same day, the people who are on the beach right in front of us, they had a brand new little puppy, and it was so cute. And so I was like filming the little puppy too, but it was I felt kind of creepy because the puppy was like crawling all over them. I was just filming the puppy, but I think also these people.
That is a little creepy.
So that is, yeah. So then after we went on this non-date date, and then we had a date that night, you came over to my house and we watched movies, and you spilled an entire bottle of red wine on me and the carpet.
It wasn't an entire bottle. It was like maybe a quarter of the bottle left.
It was a bit.
But we moved the couch so that it covered the stain, so nobody would know.
Yeah, to be honest, in this place that I lived at the time, it was, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was $1 million home, but in Hawaii, that means something very different than most other places. And the carpet, I mean, it was a rental, and the carpet was not pristine. So we did our best to blot up the red wine, and then mostly it was just like, well, that's another stain on the carpet. And then, let's see, the next day, you had a party at your house, which I was not invited to, but you spent the entire party on the phone with me. And then we hung out like the next 5 days in a row.
Yep. And then what? I can't remember when the first time was that I started asking you to marry me.
Well, so then I think that next weekend you asked me if I would be your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then I think it was like 2 weeks after that you asked me to marry you. And I was like, no, you don't even know me.
And I made a very compelling argument that I could, though.
Yeah. And you also told me that you loved me. And I said,
That's nice.
yeah.
It's never what you want to hear. But
Then eventually you just asked enough. And I was like, okay, this guy's not going away. Guess I'll keep him.
I don't know how to respond.
He really
to that.
did take me to the beach one day because I kept saying no to his marriage proposals. And he's like, what do you want to know? What's the holdup? And I was like, I don't know, just like life and time. It's been like 17 minutes.
I mean, sure, but if you know you want to be with somebody, though, why would you waste the time to be like, oh, I need to know them even more? Like, if you can tell that they're a genuine good person.
Oops.
And you guys genuinely work well together.
Well, who knew I wanted to be with you?
I did.
Well, I didn't.
You did. You just didn't know it yet.
Yeah, therefore I didn't know.
Yeah, there you go. That's the more logical thing to say. But, well, I'm glad you
Said yes.
Yeah. I'm glad you said yes.
I'm glad I said yes.
All right, and we're back. We had a few technical difficulties there, but got them all worked out.
And a cat on the table. Well, that is the story of how we met. It's a beautiful story.
It's a wonderful story. And if you want to see the first couple of years of our marriage, check out our vlog.
Well, I don't know that's the first few years because we didn't do that one after we got married. It was like Europe. We started in Europe.
Oh, yeah, I guess we did, didn't we?
There is some Hawaii, but it's like after Europe.
Well, that's when we moved back to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we left Hawaii after we got married.
Yep.
What was like 2 months? 2 months after we got married?
Yeah, about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of
Isaiah's losing it.
losing
Thanks for listening to the story of how we met.
it.
I don't know why. Just for funsies.
Yeah, just for funsies. We're just having a ball. Catch you guys next time.